Just sitting in the studio on a rainy day. It may turn out that way. If only someone would come by, I'd feel mighty fine. Cheer up this rainy day.
Hello.
Bill.
Hey,
Bill Beck.
Tony.
Hey, man.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for joining us on this little show we call On Exhibit. And we like to visit with various artists and in this case, musicians. So, and thanks to everybody for joining us. Carl Rosicki once again behind the camera. And we're in Tony Walholm's studio. This is a rare opportunity to get a glimpse into the world of Tony Walholm.
Walholm World.
Walholm World, yeah. And this is where all the magic happens.
It is.
It is.
It's amazing. I may have a painting half finished.
Yeah.
I go home, across the aisle.
Yeah, right next door.
And the Manahooties come, they do a half a painting for me. I come out in the morning and half the
So you're in league with the Manahoonies, are you?
Absolutely. You don't think I could do that by myself.
Well, you've been doing some amazing work for a long time and huge pieces. These are actually kind of average.
Moderate size.
Moderate size. What's
Yeah.
the largest piece you've ever done?
Let's see. Probably 14 by 9.
14 by 9 feet.
Actually 9 by 14.
9
yeah.
by feet we're talking about, not inches.
Actually, what's the one at the center is 8 feet high by 12 feet wide.
Wow.
The one at the map.
Yeah. That's the one at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center. Where else do you have your work displayed?
I have work all over the world. I have work in Baden-Baden, in London, in all over the States, New York and San Francisco, especially a great deal of paintings have gone there.
Where is Baden-Baden?
It's in Germany near the springs and where the healthy water is, where you can go and soak in the salts.
Now, how do you sell to someone who lives, I imagine, in Baden-Baden? Yeah.
The paint talks to them.
Well, did they come to Maui and see your work?
Exactly,
You see it
exactly.
online?
And I was really fortunate to have an exquisite gallery for nigh on 20 plus years at the Nopua Gallery.
Oh, yeah.
And they had very few artists in the gallery, but clients from all over the planet. And I probably made 20 clients there that would come back and buy on a regular basis.
So you have collectors?
I do.
Wow, yeah.
God bless them.
So, and there are probably still a few people who say, can you do something in purple for over our couch?
Yeah.
With that voice would be annoying too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, well, it depends on, my buddy Salvador Dali would say, how many gold bars can you balance on my arms?
Well, you're referring to Salvador Dali, but your work is nothing like the work that he did.
No, but he was a great an inspiration to me too.
Me too.
Yeah.
I imagine you've been to one or a couple of his galleries.
I have, plus I met Salvador Dali in 1974.
You did?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, you see, being Portuguese and from the islands, you have a little attitude. It's hard to say no to me. So I went and knocked on the door, and Dala opens the door.
You knocked on Dali's door?
I knocked on his door, yeah.
Was it an ordinary-looking door?
It was white stucco wall around the premises with little interspersed aquariums with fish in them.
Really?
Just a couple.
Oh.
Last time I was there, the fish had gone.
Oh,
But so had he. But when I was there, he was still working on the Teatro Salvador Dali in Figueres. And I caught him coming out after Gala chased me away twice.
Yeah.
And he said, well, why don't you come back for dinner?
For dinner?
For dinner, yeah.
Oh, tell me about the dinner.
Well, unfortunately, I don't speak a lot of French and his or Spanish, and his English is iffy.
Yeah.
But the aura and the power he put out there, and seeing him at work on the oh golly, it was the one of the Africa with the storming troops and Gala's there in the front.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, he added Gala to a lot of his work.
She was his muse.
Yeah.
And he made this divine presence out of her.
Yes.
And I've always tried to do that with women here in America, but it just doesn't work.
Well, Salvador Dali, so you must have gone to his gallery in Paris.
No, I
No?
did not. I did not. I
No.
don't even know if
Isn't that
74.
huh?
Maybe in 74 did
yeah.
it exist?
We went. It's been 8, 9, 10 years ago, I think, and I was amazed to see work that I had never seen of his before.
Yeah.
I guess he was tremendously prolific.
Absolutely.
I have to say, I remember when I lived on Front Street in Lahaina, and there was a gallery there that was selling supposedly works by Salvador Dali. They turned out to be fakes.
Yeah, there was.
That was a big gallery too.
That was a big deal. It hit,
Yeah.
it hit in the national papers and magazines
Yeah.
when that happened.
Yeah. Are there people who fake your work?
I think it'd be pretty difficult.
Really? Why do you say that?
It's hard to place where the line begins and the space happens. It's the color informs the note. It's like jazz. That's how I go about a painting. I have a rough idea of the structure of it as I begin. Maybe I picked out a palette, but as I work, it tells me what to do. It's like
So it's all spontaneous.
it's very spontaneous.
Yeah. Do you just love to throw the paint around a little bit?
Door.
The doors. There we go. Yeah.
The floor,
Proof.
the walls.
Right there, yes, the walls.
Yeah, it's good to wear a raincoat when I'm working.
Well, these walls will be worth something someday.
Yeah,
You could sign them now, and
I thought it'd
then.
be great to send the studio over to the Venice Biennale.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, the whole studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
Well,
is.
I love it, and you've got some crazy things in here. I mean, such a collection.
Besides me.
Besides you, it's fascinating, of course, to see all your brushes. I love going into workshops and seeing how people work. It's inspiring to me, although I haven't picked up a brush in a long, long time. But when I did, I used to love to fling the paint around. And I love the smell of the terps and all that.
Oh,
It's
God,
just
yeah.
wonderful. And the freedom to just pretty much do what you want. Now, how would you describe your work? Is this expressionism? Is it abstract
It's
expression?
abstract. I don't give it a term of abstract expressionism, and I think the painters back in the 50s in New York, who were called abstract expressionists, were not happy with the term.
Yeah.
But they really didn't know what else to call themselves. They call
Right.
themselves the new American art.
Right.
It's very muscular and moving. Mine is toned down with a bit more poetry, I think, to it, and it's a little calmer.
Yeah.
It's-
But you love the gold. I've noticed that in your work.
Again, gold is a very spiritual color. It's so reflective. And they used it in the cathedrals in Europe as well as the stained glass. And you can understand that this was meant for a basically illiterate audience. They couldn't read. They couldn't sit down and read the Bible and be moved by the words.
Yeah.
But they could be moved by these fabulous stained glass windows and the artwork and the statuary. And that would take them to a place that's beyond where they live in their daily life. And the awe factor opens up.
Yeah.
And in a way, that's what great art still does today. Great meaning art as opposed to the landscape that tells you, okay, this is a landscape, which is fine, but there's some art which can become transformative.
Right. Well, you're obviously more than just a painter, too. I walked in, you're playing the guitar. I only
Keeps me sane.
I've known you for years and years and years, and I only just realized that you are also a musician
Well,
and a librettist. Librettist.
I write librettos.
There we go. That's what I was trying to get to. Well, you mean you've written more than a few?
I've done 4.
4 libretto. Now, what is a libretto for people who don't
It
know?
is the written script to go with an opera, but these are what we call with our ebb and flow events, stage compositions, which is a term that Vasily Kandinsky used to describe a kind of post-opera entertainment that used the elements of opera, but stripping it of any melodrama. So there's no hero and heroine, and it's straightforward theater, and it takes you to a very abstract realm. Like he did a scenario called Yellow Sound. We did a version of that at Seabury for one of our Ebb and Flow productions.
I've been to a few. You just had one with Tom Vendetti showing his 3D work.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then there were some 3D pictures of sand.
Yeah, that's Gary Greenberg.
Gary Greenberg doing these microscopic shots of sand, and then Ebb and Flow also did a wonderful event that I was so sorry I missed at the planetarium on the Big Island.
Oh yeah. We've done a couple of those, and the one on the Big Island has a 3D dome. So
Yeah.
Peter Swansea has done a piece, and Mike Takamoto was working with Bill Werman, I believe, on a piece that was then projected in 3D.
Right. And Michael Takamoto and you, and of course Robert Pollock, and a few others have been doing this for some time. And Ebb and Flow Arts, if people don't know, bring these wonderful world-class musical shows and cutting-edge shows too to Maui for free. Other places they're going to have to pony up some bucks, but because Robert loves Maui and lives here. And
Absolutely. And sometimes our work is so unique that we don't want to have any barrier between that and the public. You might say, what, should I do this or should I do that?
I was at the one event at Seabury where Piero Resta and Michael Takamoto and a few others did a piece, a big, huge piece.
Right, I believe Piero brought in a sofa for that.
He's no longer with us, unfortunately.
Yes, God rest his soul. But
Yeah.
so miss the guy.
Well, we're recording this day after Memorial Day. What are your thoughts about Piero? What are your memories about him?
Oh gosh, whenever we got together, we seemed to create a dialogue about painting, but also about living and about food. Right? You like to cook. I like to cook.
Yeah.
So it was always a good. It's the kind of feeling that you want to have in an art community where you speak soul to soul to another person. And you like putting on silly hats.
Silly hats. By the way, we're going to put on some silly hats at the end of the show here because we love hats. I'm wearing my all-time favorite hat, made of paper. It's part of Santana's hat collection.
Wow.
And it has a little, you might see it in here, there's a little reading there. There is divinity in your DNA, live your light.
Wow.
Carlos Santana. And he made this by hand, and he was playing the guitar at the same time. Yeah, amazing stuff. So we'll put on some hats. I'm anxious to kind of look around because you have a remarkable collection of minutia, I would say, and
that describes it.
a lot of little cars. What's with the cars?
I think it has to do something teenage guys don't grow out of. There's the male in America's love of cars, but I never could really, back when I was younger, afford a nice car.
Yeah.
The Hot Wheels just were so cool. Yeah, so I started collecting Hot Wheels.
So a lot of these little cars and things that you have around are even go back to your childhood, is that right?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yep, some of them.
Do you ever get rid of anything?
Good question. I wonder how much of percentage of hoarders in my DNA.
Yeah, but it's not bad. I mean, I've seen hoarders stuff, and we'd be like this, trying to talk with all the stuff that'd be around.
Yeah.
So you're either you have somebody who is keeping things organized, or you're somewhat more organized than some artists that I've known.
I try to do it best I can.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the work that you've got here. I see you have several pieces stacked up.
These are pieces in process.
Right.
As is this. I've been working on this one in the class I've been teaching at the UI.
Yeah, let's mention that because you teach painting at the
I
UI.
teach introduction and more advanced classes in abstract painting And I will be doing in the fall, early fall, a series of workshops. It'll be 4-week workshops. It'll be very affordable, and
Oh, really? Yeah.
they're four classes or workshops of 3 hours apiece. So it's a good grounding.
Yeah.
And if you've been doing some painting, it may give you an idea of how to go beyond the preconception of a pre-thought of image, something that comes out of the visual world.
Excuse me. So who are your inspirations? I mean, you mentioned Dali, but
Yeah, my first inspirations were the old masters. That's what I saw growing up. We had art books in the house, and I really fell in love with these old paintings and the colors and how mysterious it was, how they got these forms there. And as I got older, I focused mainly on Titian and Rubens, and really started to dig what those guys
like those
were doing.
Rubens girls, do you?
Oh yeah, and this wonderful feminine nature that comes out of their faces. It's precious.
And they were all kind of corpulent too. They were a
Quite.
bit, yeah,
Quite,
yeah,
yeah.
and very kind of sexy, running around in the nude, which is always kind of sexy, I think.
A bit of the nymph about
Not
them,
if
yeah.
I'm doing it, but
Oh, that.
that's, no, my eyes. So you work on these pieces all at the same time.
I work on,
get a little dab
I work
here,
on
and a
few
little dab there.
Because oil paint takes a while to dry.
Yeah, that's right.
Even though I do use alkyd mediums, and that advances the drying time. But you work in layer after layer. I like a technique of glazing, and so that takes laying the paint on, letting it to dry, and then going to salt it again in a day or two.
Yeah, and I see this piece here. It's kind of lumpy. There's lumpies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been known to take the paint tube and just go.
All right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Because you can.
Because I can.
Because a lot of student artists, they get out their brush and their paint, and they're so careful, and they I don't want to do it, but your technique is really go at it.
Put it out there.
Just get to it,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and don't think too hard about.
There's
what
a
you're doing.
few simple laws about the paint that you have to know. It's just in terms of its drying and what conditions it'll crack under. So that's the main thing I can pass on to my students. Are all these, what is the limit that you can take it to, and how to treat your painting in terms of building a layer of glaze over a layer of glaze, so color over color creates a new color rather than mixing a color on the palette.
Sure, yeah. So like we know, a blue and yellow makes green.
Wow.
And so when you're working, you're just in another world, basically. Yeah. It's kind of like a meditation, I would think.
It is. Though
You're just
often
opening.
I hear you coming over the airwaves.
Oh yes,
entering my dimension.
Well, you showed me your antique radio there. It looks like something that fell out of an old sci-fi movie, a dystopian film about the future that never
Charles
worked.
Lloyd actually brought it by in the catalog.
Well, it's cool to know that you listen to my show, because I always hope that musicians, artists, people, creative people are listening and maybe get some inspiration out of the whole thing. So can you show us a few of your things over here? Because you've got some very mysterious objects, and you said that some of these things go back to your childhood. I see you have a possible, very, very valuable Beatles bit of memorabilia.
Yeah, that was from the Franklin Mint, and unfortunately, a while ago, it had a dome over it, and that unfortunately had something fall upon it and shatter.
Somebody fell upon it.
No, something.
Something fell on it.
Tinkerbell.
And you collect stones too, interesting
Oh,
stones.
I do geological and rocks of various sorts. This is amber, and with the bees in it.
It has bees in it?
Right there.
Oh, wow. Right. So we could somehow revive these bees, and they would be prehistoric, right?
Okay.
And we could have giant bees. And then you have a little bit of spiritual
Yes, we have Ganesh.
ephemera.
We have
there.
Ganesh.
Ganesh.
Buddha.
Well, there was a Buddha that helped people go across a river.
That's the Buddha.
That's the one.
That's the one.
That's my favorite.
That's the
one.
Buddha who
my
grew up in a very he was a prince.
Yeah, he
and
was wealthy.
Very affluent, and
Yeah.
he was totally shut off from any hint of a suffering world.
Yeah.
He didn't even know people grew old and died. So he finally, like a young man coming of age, he had to get past the walls, just like any of us would.
Yeah.
And he had to see what's really out there, and he did, and it shocked him. He saw the suffering. He saw, well, you think of India, and you think of masses of people who are very, okay with the suffering going around them because they've surrendered to this knowing that this wheel of samsara, this wheel of illusion, is something we all have to get past. So as you walk past this and you're not affected by it, you're reaching more into your own Buddha nature. So when you say there's more than one Buddha on the planet, for every person on the planet, there's a Buddha. But it's waking the Buddha up.
There you go. We've got some spiritual thoughts. So how about we go next door and take a look at some of your ephemera over there, and some of your artwork, because you've collected quite some interesting pieces.
Walk this way. It is raining.
We're in your domicile.
Yes.
And it's really an art gallery. I mean, you have pieces by Debra Fair up here. I love this piece up here, which you can't see too well, but that's
Ben Kikiyama.
Ben Kikiyama.
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 Easy for him to say.
And I love his pieces too, and Debra's a couple of my favorite artists.
Yeah, David Warren.
David Warren.
Yeah, a print there and another one here.
Oh, David Warren. Yeah. May he rest in peace. But your pieces as well. You have this large piece up here, more gold.
That's the Emperor's Courtyard.
Oh.
That's the title.
Yeah. And then here's a piece that's kind of different from anything I've seen you do before.
Well, it's a Madonna and Child, and this one is as much as I could remember how I started the piece that St. John's Episcopal Church in Keokea has. That one was unfortunately damaged.
Oh,
but
okay.
this one is far more realist. The other one is very free-formed. There's a lot of paint.
This is quite
but
different.
I have to start with something and then abstract from that.
You know, your entire house is kind of like a shrine, in a way. You've got these big pieces of, what do you call them again?
Tonkas.
Tonkas. And these are hand-painted pieces.
They are.
And then you've got all these little toys, these little cars that you've been collecting since you were a kid.
Since I was a little boy.
Yeah. Well, did
boy
you
with
ever
little
have a
cars.
really cool little sports car that you drove around in?
Well, I had two really cool cars. My first really cool car was a car I paid $125 for. It was a 1935 Ford Phaeton. It had the running boards and the big back seat that looked like a lounge. Yeah,
Great.
soft top. It was in terrible condition, but my uncle was a mechanic at Pearl Harbor, so he and I rebuilt the engine, kept it stock 1935, but brought it up to mint condition. Wow. That was my first cool car.
So, where can people see your work?
Well, if people want to see my work, they can call me for an appointment.
Yeah.
For a gallery tour. Currently, I had a wonderful gallery for 30 years at the Grand Wailea Napua Gallery, but when it changed hands, I have not been in touch with them since then.
Oh.
Plus, it's a gallery that has a lot of paintings in it, much like Lin Shu's gallery in the Village Gallery in Lahaina, who I originally showed with when I moved over from Oahu.
Well, listen, I want to show you some of the hats I brought. We can try some hats on, just for fun, because I know you love to collect hats.
Absolutely.
So why don't you gather a few hats, and I'll gather some of mine, and we'll try on hats.
The hats will happen.
Okay. Tony, it's been great fun.
Bill.
Thanks for sharing hats and art and music.
And occasional story.
It's been great to
It's
get to
been
know
great,
you.
Bill.
Yeah. This is Bill Best with On Exhibit, Tony Walholm. Thank you, Carl Rozicki and Larry John, for your support.
Thanks, everybody.
And aloha.
Aloha.